Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on Manifesting Made Simple. Today we have a special guest who I am so excited to introduce to you. We actually were on her podcast last week on Make Shift Happen. So be sure to check out her podcast as well. Today we have with us Samantha Daily.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that we get to chat again.
Me too. I was telling Sam before the podcast started, guys, that we're going to have a just intimate conversation like the one you heard with Danielle on our first episode of this series, Manifest Like a Boss. So, Sam, first question for you is when in your life did you realize manifestation was something that you could practically use in your life?
Ooh, this is a good question. I think I started to learn about, a lot of us came into contact with the idea of law of attraction and manifestation through The Secret. So I originally learned about these concepts through the documentary of The Secret. I hadn't read
Mm.
the book, but I watched the documentary and I was like, whoa, this is so crazy. But I think when I first started to really feel like I could personally use it and that it would work for me and that things would start to materialize was my first ever experience of asking the universe for a sign. And I received my sign in many different ways. And then I was like hooked. I was like, wow, okay, yes, we are in constant communication with the universe. This is wild. And that like really had me motivated and excited of like, okay, this manifestation thing is definitely real. Like I'm totally going to utilize this in my life and just start creating the reality of my dreams.
You were like, something's responding to me. I'm not sure what it is yet, but something is talking back.
Yeah. 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 I'll never forget it. The first experience asking for a sign. I asked for a butterfly. And I think it's funny now because I was actually just thinking about this the other day. I was like, if I asked for a butterfly, I wouldn't ask for a butterfly now, even though I do love it as a universal sign. But because I see butterfly symbols and real butterflies everywhere all the time. But that's because I'm really open to it now, right? Like I've opened my awareness to be able to receive that. Same thing like with angel numbers. Like initially, I had never seen an angel number or known what an angel number was because
Mm.
I hadn't opened my conscious awareness to be able to receive that. But now I see them everywhere, right? So I wouldn't necessarily ask for an angel number as my sign. But when I'd asked for the butterfly, I was living in a big city. I was living in Madrid, so I wasn't really like around nature. There wasn't really butterflies anywhere. And I also wasn't in a space where like people were really using the butterfly emoji. Although now in the coaching space, I feel like there's lots of butterfly emojis to symbolize transformation and things. But I asked for this sign and I first received it like by seeing someone use the butterfly emoji. And I was like, oh, that's so random. Like, why would they put a butterfly on that caption? It has nothing to do with what they're talking about. But I kind of like brushed it off. And I was just like, is that me receiving the sign? I'm not totally sure. And then I saw someone post this picture from like a music festival where they were standing in front of this big, like, flower wall that was like the flowers created this huge butterfly. And I was like, okay, I see you a little bit, universe. Like, is this the sign coming? I don't know.
A whole
But like,
wall of butterflies?
I was like, okay, I maybe, right. I'm getting more convinced. And then I was walking down the street. I was on a break from my job and I'd asked for this sign about whether it was going to work out for me if I could quit this job. Because at the time I was working a really toxic job. And so I'm taking a break from this job and I'm walking down the street to go grab a coffee somewhere. And I sit down on this like city bench and I'm drinking my coffee and I see this little girl like off in the distance and it looks like her dress is covered in butterflies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to know. So I get up and I like grab all my stuff. I grab my bag. I have my phone out because I'm like, if it's the butterflies, I have to take a picture of it. So I'm running I'm like running down the city street. Like I have to get close enough to this girl to like see if it's butterflies. She's probably like 4 or 5 years old. And as I get closer, I realize it's the white dress and the pattern on it is butterflies all over it. And I'm like, holy shit, that's wild. And then I see a woman walk past me wearing a shirt that has a big butterfly on it. And I'm like, okay, right. I see you. Like, I really feel like we're in communication. And then the cherry on top of the whole thing was that a couple of days later, we received a package from these prints that we had ordered to like hang in frames in our apartment. And inside the box, they included all of these little like complimentary, like cute little butterfly magnets, like the most random thing delivered to my door, like a box that was like full of like 5 different butterfly magnets. And that's when I was like, all right, loud and clear. Got you, universe. Like we're on. Let's do this.
So good. It's so funny that butterfly is your sign. I was listening to a audiobook not that long ago, and forgive me, I can't remember what the book was, but it told you, oh, you know what? It was called, the book is called Creating Money. I forget the author, but it's called Creating Money. And in the book, it tells you to pick a symbol for your growth, like your development. And the first thing it says just to close your eyes and think of what comes to your mind. And the first thing that came to my mind was the butterfly as well. So I know we're aligned in so many ways. And this is just another one. So that's so cool. I want to
Yeah.
know, because I mean, leaving your job, right? Leaving corporate, moving to Madrid,
Yeah.
starting your own business, all of that. How did your understanding of trusting the universe and trusting the process of manifestation help you in that decision? Because I think a lot of people, they think, okay, manifestation, like I'll manifest a car, I'll manifest like more money, or I'll manifest like a Louis Vuitton bag, or I'll manifest my soulmate. But I would love to talk about manifestation as it pertains to following your path, following your purpose, listening to God's word, listening to your intuition. Talk about that a little bit, of how the process of manifestation and your belief and how it works helped you pick up and go.
Yeah. So to be like completely honest, at the point in time when I was, I had graduated university and I was trying to decide, oh, am I gonna take this corporate job offer in Chicago, or am I gonna go back to Europe, because I had studied abroad in Spain, which is where I met my partner, and wanted to continue to see where that relationship would go. And I also wanted to travel more and become fluent in Spanish. And I was unsure of my career path in the first place, of like, do I even care about this? I feel like I'm going to be really unhappy in a couple of months, like sitting at a desk. But at that moment in time, I wasn't actually aware of the law of attraction or manifestation. It was only later, when I was already living in Madrid and I had to make the hard decision to leave yet another job, that I was in the place to actually pull in those concepts and utilize them to make a big life decision like that. But I think what helped me in the initial decision to decline my corporate job offer and move to Madrid, even though I didn't have the vocabulary or the full like knowledge or awareness of my relationship to the universe and this idea of co-creation and all of that, was that I've always been a very like sacral person. So I've always had this sense of gut instinct, trusting myself. When I really desire something, I go for it. And I can see the consequences. And if I'm okay with the consequences, then it's worth it to me. And I make that decision anyways. So there was a lot of, back and forth in my head, of course, of what are people going to think? And my parents are probably going to be really upset for 2 reasons. One, they just helped me pay for my entire college tuition, right? Like they paid for majority of it, just to be totally honest. And now I'm like, taking this degree and basically being like, yeah, we'll just put that over here to the side for a minute and like see what happens. I'm going to move to a foreign country and like earn poverty level wage, like teaching English so I can like hang out with my boyfriend that I met on Tinder. Like, it's all of course, from the outside, people probably
Yeah.
thought I was fucking insane. And I
Hmm.
had to grapple with that of like, yeah, people are going to be like, yikes, like you just graduated and you didn't get a job. Like that's a big thing when you're graduating college. It's always, what job are you taking? What city are you moving to? Like, what's your starting salary? Like all of that, like bullshit where you're just trying to, figure out where you fit in like the rankings of life and the world and stuff. So I thankfully was always quite good at just following my desire and trusting it and knowing that if it was scarier to not do it, then
Mhm.
I had to do it. And that was really where I was at with that, was like, it's going to be scarier to let this opportunity go
Mhm.
and never know what could have happened if I didn't make this decision. But the next time around, once I was living in Madrid for a little bit and I had gotten this job and I thought it was going to be the best thing ever. And, it was at this really cool place. And I was teaching English to Spanish celebrities and singers and actors. And it was definitely like a step up from my initial gig, like just teaching English for a really low wage. Not that I was making tons of money at this new place, but I was definitely making a little bit more. And it was supposed to be this like really cool experience, but it turned out to be like quite a toxic workplace. And it was then when I asked for the sign, like, you know, tell me, universe, show me the way. I want to leave this job, but I'm scared that I won't be able to figure it out, or that I won't be able to support myself, or that there won't be something else that falls into place for me. Also, I'm living in a foreign country at this point. I don't have like the ability to just like go home to my parents' house, or like
Mhm.
go like get any old job. Like it's very like there's only certain types of work that you can do unless
Yeah.
you're like a European citizen. So it was quite scary. And that's when I asked for the guidance of, if I do this, will I be supported? Show me the sign of a butterfly. And all of that came through. And I felt like, okay, I have to go for it. I have to rip the band-aid off. And I think at that time, I had just read the book, The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby
Mhm.
Bernstein, which so many of us are familiar with. But that was a big piece of being able to take the concept of manifestation and trust in the universe and apply it to my real life and actually press go, which I think is where a lot of people get stuck. They read the book, they understand the concept, but then when it comes down to the wire of like, ooh, you want to quit your job, but you feel scared. Do you actually believe that the universe has your back? Right. Which is the whole teaching of that book. So, that I would say is the thing that really allowed me to take the idea and the philosophies of co-creating with the universe and
Mhm.
apply it to an actual real life decision that quite literally had my ass on the line.
Yeah. I think so often people, and even, in my own experience with utilizing, practicing, manifestation methods, it wasn't until things were so painful or I didn't want those things so badly that I had no choice but to propel myself forward. And I think a lot of people wait until something like that where the universe kind of pushes you up against a wall and says, you have to trust me. Like you have no choice but to fall, but to trust me. Um, and although it's scary, like I'm sure new country, like jobs are shaky, you're in a weird toxic job, you're like, oh my gosh, what's next? Like you can only trust. You have no option. So I always say entrepreneurship is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to build a relationship with the universe because you have to trust in entrepreneurship, right? You've got to trust yourself and you've got to trust that you can co create with source, um, to go out there and do the thing. So, okay, I want to know, what is a story, a manifestation story where you intentionally sat down and said, okay, I want this. And then you did XYZ to get it, to manifest it. And then it appeared in the physical, and you can kind of like share with us that process.
Mm, okay, good question. Let me think about which manifestation story we want to share with the people. I think one that was like really special for me was, later on down the line, obviously, after all of this had happened and more things got fired,
Mm-hmm.
was pushed into entrepreneurship, like unwillingly. I didn't think I was ready, but the universe showed me that I needed to be ready because it was going to pull everything out from under me and kind of got me into building my business. I had set the intention and the goal that I wanted to earn $100,000 in the first year of my business. And that for me felt like impossible. Like it felt like the biggest joke of like, $100,000, like from me coaching and like doing my little thing on like Instagram, right? So at the time, it was like this big, massive thing because I was just starting my business, right? I'm
Mhm.
barely making any money. At this point, I had run like one beta round of my signature program with 7 women. And it was super, super low price because I was just getting started and getting into the field and wanting to get experience and seeing what kind of results I could get from this content of the program. And so I'd only earned around like 2,500-ish dollars, let's say,
Mhm.
like in total ever doing this work. And I'm like, I'm going to hire my first business coach. I'm going to get serious and I want to quit my job and I want to earn $100,000 in the first year of my business. So obviously, throughout the year, there were so many things that had to happen and so many scary action steps that I had to take that led to that. Um, but I'll never forget the moment where I was kind of, coming up close to the end of the year and there was still like $30,000 missing from that goal. And I was like, oof, I don't know, like if it's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit that goal. And I was okay if I didn't, because I was still really freaking proud that I had gotten that far and actually stuck to my goals and done
Mhm.
the hard work that it took to build my business up to that point. Um, but the I launched the next round of this program. I had done multiple rounds at that point, and I had like the biggest launch that I had ever had, kind of like just came out of nowhere. And the $30,000 clicked into place and we hit that $100,000 mark. And I remember looking at, the back end and sales and my bank account and just remembering all the times that I had visualized that number, like 100,000, and actually like seeing it in real life and being like, holy shit, like I actually did that. Like this is so real. It's like not a joke. Like what else could we create? What else could we do? From 0 to 100,000, that was like so inspiring to me. I was like, I freaking inspired myself. Like, that I could do that. And that was just huge for me, the first 100K and sitting with it and visualizing it. And I had throughout the process, I had this sticky note that said, I am a 6-figure coach, right? $100,000, 6 figures. And I put it on my fridge so that every time I would be in the kitchen or past the fridge or go to get something to eat, I would have to look at it. And I had this deal with myself that every time I saw it, I needed to like recite it to myself and try to like tap into it and feel it. And so it was months and months and months of me like every day, multiple times being like, I'm a 6-figure coach. I'm a 6-figure coach. I'm a 6-figure coach. We even went on vacation. My partner, his family has a beach house in southern Spain, and we would go down there for several weeks of the year in the summertime. And I would take sticky notes with me and I would make the sticky note again that said, I'm a
Mhm.
6-figure coach. And I stuck it on I didn't put it on their family fridge, but I
They're
did put
like,
it on
"What's
our,
wrong with your new girlfriend?"
yeah, I did put it on our, in our room on like the closet door. But I was really committed to that vision. And I even had this like practice that I did with mala beads, like doing a mantra around the mala. And I would say 108 times over and over again, I'm a 6-figure coach. I'm a 6-figure coach. I'm a 6-figure coach as I went around the mala bead. And I remember sitting on the beach in my beach chair with my eyes closed, headphones in. I'm a 6-figure coach. I'm a 6-figure coach. I'm a 6-figure coach. Like there was a lot that went into it. So when I saw that number come to fruition and appear before my eyes, it was no doubt, obviously, there's lots of action included, but it was also the energy that I was putting out. It was also all of that, like behind the scenes, invisible side of the work, as you talk about.
Mhm. So good. It's always the energetics behind the action, right? Because if we didn't have the energetics, we wouldn't have the inspired action to go and create the program or go and do the thing or come up with a six-figure idea. I love that. Okay, so through your story, I'm hearing affirmations, I'm hearing things on your fridge, I'm hearing mala beads, I'm hearing auto suggestion. So if you could, like if someone's like, okay, Sam, give me, 3 to 5 things to do on a daily basis. If this person's really serious, they're like, I'm locked in, I'm tapped in, I'm ready to go, I'm committed. 3 to 5 things that they could do on a daily basis to set them up for the energetic side of what is that they're wanting and ultimately
Mm,
manifest it in the physical.
okay. There's so many. How do we choose?
I know. Just think like basic. This is manifesting made simple.
Yeah.
Just think like
Okay.
basic, like, basic, easy starting point.
Yeah. Well, I think honestly the mala bead one is really great because as you know, the repetition is what actually creates the change in the circuitry of the brain and what actually allows us to change our belief systems of who we believe ourselves to be, what we believe that we're capable of. And a lot of times we talk about like affirmations, but people struggle with actually being consistent with the affirmations and repeating them enough to get a result. So, what's cool about the mala bead practice is even if you just sit down to do it one time, you've technically already gotten 108 repetitions of that affirmation or that manifestation that you're calling in. So it only takes a couple of minutes as well, like to get all the way around. If you're just using one statement, it only takes like maybe 2.5 minutes to get all the way around 108 beads. And then you have so many repetitions of this powerful statement or mantra or affirmation that you're using to attract what you want. So I would recommend one, trying the mala bead, like mantra situation. That is game changing. You can do it literally laying in your bed with your eyes closed at night, like if that's the only 2.5 minutes that you have. So that's super easy. Um, the other thing that I love and is kind of a reflection of the sticky note thing is really just making affirmations more visible. I'm a really big fan of this. And when I started with a lot of like my money mindset journey, I would take a bunch of these money affirmations and mantras that I was using to infuse into my own mindset and my own subconscious. And I actually just pasted them onto my bathroom mirror so that every day when I was brushing my teeth or doing my skincare routine, like we kind of spend as girls, we kind of spend a lot of time like standing in front of the mirror.
We do.
So it was like, okay, let's utilize this time that I'm already here and infuse it with some of this work. So just put those affirmations or mantras on the mirror. So then when I'm brushing my teeth or doing my skincare or doing your hair or whatever you're doing, you can just look at them and recite them. And that will give you lots more repetition of the things that you're calling in and trying to create and how you want to think and feel and believe about yourself. So mala bead, mantras, mirror affirmations. I think if people are just starting, it's really important to have enough space for you to actually start to receive some of like the guidance or the ideas or the downloads, which
Mm.
is challenging when we're in this world of like constant stimulation and we're always looking at stuff and we're always thinking about something or watching a video or like they're listening to music or we have a podcast going on. Like there's no, like we don't really leave a lot of space for silence in our life these days. So I think I would have to throw in there some sort of a silence practice. It doesn't even have to be necessarily meditation, although meditation is great if you can do a daily meditation practice, even if just for 5 minutes. But it could even just be like a silent walk where you go on a walk. Maybe you take your dog out for a walk in the morning, and instead of plugging into music or a podcast or scrolling on your phone while you're on the walk, you just choose to be intentionally with yourself and in silence so that you can kind of like create this open portal to be able to receive ideas, creativity, inspiration, because that's going to influence how much action you're actually able to take. If you're just overloaded all the time, that leads to the overthinking and all of that. So we've got to leave space for divine downloads to come through. So definitely some sort of like daily silence practice. The other thing that I really love is utilizing music because
Mm.
I really feel like nothing shifts your mood or changes your energetic state faster than music. Like you could be in a bad mood and turn on a really good song. And even though you're not like happy all of a sudden, like you can feel there's a little bit of upliftment, there's a little bit of a shift. So I like to use music to raise my vibration and get me in an energetic state that is a match for the things that I'm trying to call in. So you can create playlists like a money playlist or like a hype up kind of playlist that makes you feel confident, that makes you feel like a boss bitch, whatever vibe zone you need to get into. Create a playlist and make like a daily dance practice where you just like play one or two songs. It doesn't have to be like this long thing, but getting up, moving around, shaking around your body, like just dancing it out a little bit, getting into the energy of that music and feeling the energetic shift of your vibration raising. I think those four would be like my go to if I was just starting and wanting to get into a better place and start opening myself up to be able to manifest.
If someone did those 4 things every day and they had their goal and they had the thing that they were wanting, I mean, guys, 30 days, 60 days, 100 days, like it would manifest into the physical. The thing that I see the most, and those are brilliant, brilliant, brilliant 4 steps. I love the mala beads because that's actually something new to me as well. I love repetition and it's in all my programs, but having the physical um, beads in front of you reminds you, okay, I have to do my exercise. And then you take it out and now you just surrender to the beads on the thing. And then shortly after you've got 100 plus repetitions. So I love that. And then the other one, like taking time to just allow, because you're doing all this work, right? You're doing the repetition, you're saying the affirmations, like you're doing the energetic work. However, I loved what you said about, we're so busy and we're so inundated with things. If we don't take time to listen, then how are we ever going to receive the inspired action that's coming from all the energetic work that we're doing? And that is just so brilliant and definitely one of, if not the biggest key takeaway from today's episode that you guys should really lock into. A lot of people do the energetic work, but they never take time to listen for guidance. And if you don't listen for guidance, you can miss it, right? Like Sam was talking about at the beginning of the episodes, she was asking for the butterfly, but she wasn't really paying attention to the butterfly for a little bit. And then she was like, oh, yeah, there's a butterfly. And the same thing happened with myself and different experiences. So you have to take the time to listen, to allow God, source, whatever you identify with, to give you that next step, that inspired action. So good, Sam. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. Where
It was a
can,
pleasure.
yeah, where can everyone find you if they want to come into your world?
Yeah, you guys can come hang out with me on Instagram. That's kind of where I am most of the time at underscore Samantha Daily. I'm also underscore Samantha Daily on TikTok. Um, my podcast, Make Shift Happen. If you want to come over and listen to the episode that I did with Maddie, you guys can listen to that. We had a really, really great conversation. And if you want to learn more about some of the work that I do or programs that I offer, you can always go to samanthadaily.com.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sam. Be sure to go check out Makeshift Happen. I love the name Makeshift Happen. So go check out the podcast and we will see you next time on Manifesting Made Simple. Bye for now.